Property Tribes on location at the Landlord and Letting Show at the Barbican, and I'm delighted to be joined by Richard Tacagni, who is founder of London Property Licensing Site. And Richard, your site's such a wonderful resource for landlords. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind it.
Well, I've been in local government for about 20 years. I'm an environmental health officer by background. And I realise that many landlords are unaware of the rapid pace of change around property licensing and a real lack of detailed information. So I've developed an online web resource, completely free of charge, where landlords can find out about every property licensing scheme in London.
And you've very kindly offered to update Property Tribes as well with all the latest updates. And it is changing, and there's a lot happening on that front, and landlords must be aware of what's happening in their local borough, because there are significant fines and issues for landlords that don't comply.
Absolutely right. I mean, there's a new licensing scheme that started in Islington only on the 1st of September. There's selective licensing being rolled out to every private rented property in Croydon on the 1st of October. And you're right that landlords risk hefty fines and other sanctions for failing to comply. Some councils also offer discounts if you apply early before the scheme goes live. So there's also benefits for doing that.
Yeah, indeed. And do you also cover sort of changes in HMO licensing on your site?
Yes, we've mapped out every full information about the mandatory HMO licensing scheme and every additional licensing scheme that's currently in place across London. Unfortunately, the website's only focused on the London market at the moment, but there is so much happening that's a full-time job in itself, keeping that up to date.
I can imagine. What are you doing here today at the show?
I have an advice clinic running from 1 till 2 to give one-to-one advice to landlords. It's a free service that's being laid on by the Landlord and Letting Show. And there's a seminar this afternoon all about property licensing and what it means to landlords, what they need to know for their property portfolio.
So if you could sum up just in sort of 3 tips for landlords about licensing, what are the key things that they need to be aware of?
Absolutely. They need to understand the implications for each property they let out. They need to have a look and see what schemes the council runs, be it will always be mandatory licensing, but there could also be additional licensing for other HMOs and also even selective licensing for single family and single let properties. So have a look at the website or visit londonpropertylicensing.co.uk where they'll find full information for London.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant, Richard. Thank you so much for joining us here on Property Tribes TV, and also thank you for your very valued contributions to Property Tribes. It's great to have you as a contributor.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.